Greetings, lovely people, and welcome to Fast Track Reviews, the show where I quickly go over my initial impressions of a film that I don't necessarily think is worthy of a full review. Yeah, that is now what Fast Track is, and forever will be. But in this case, we are going to be covering Black Adam, so spoilers ahead for that, along with potentially any other DC movie that I may happen to reference. But in any case, we're going to be jumping into that, so let's get into it.
Watch the rain as it's falling down.
So, I'll go over the basic plot points as I always do and kind of just discuss what I think about those things, as well as just general character motivations and stuff like that I think are worth talking about. So, we start in 2600 BC, a very long time ago by any standard, and it's Kandak, which is the home of Black Adam in the comics, as far as I'm aware. He's not a character I follow too closely, but it is a name that I've heard in the DC mythos before. We have an evil king who is forcing people to mine for this rare, only found in Kandak mineral, material, element, whatever you want to call it. It's basically vibranium from Black Panther, if you've watched the Black Panther films, or adamantium, I guess, from the X-Men films, or just any other super rare material. I can't remember what the one that can transform into anything from Transformers. Is it Transformium? You get the idea. It's one of these magical, special, rare materials, minerals, elements, whatever, that is only found in one area. You get the picture. So, this evil king wants to create the crown of Sabak out of this material, which would basically give him the powers of 6 demons. This is essentially the equivalent to Shazam in the DC mythos, and we have a slave boy who becomes a hero. His name is Hurrit, but we don't know that yet. And he is given by the wizards, by the Council of Wizards, the powers of Shazam, which we've obviously seen before in the DC mythos in Shazam itself, which I actually thought was a pretty fun movie. So it was fun that a lot of the same cast for the Wizards, if not all the same cast for the Wizards, did return, because we did see all of them in flashbacks in the original Shazam. So it's always good when there's a continuity in actors and stuff like that. I quite like that element, and as I say, this slave boy then defeats off the evil king, kind of collapses the entire castle that the evil king was living in, and is generally remembered by history as being a hero, a champion, and is even referred to as such, as a champion. So that is very, very good. But we then jump to modern day, or as modern day as DC ever gets, which is vaguely in the future, but also not. It's like 5 years behind in technology, but they expect us to believe that they're actually like 10 years ahead of us. But in any case, we start off with a knockoff Lara Croft, who is our like main character, so to speak, other than Black Adam himself. And she's just doing some tomb raiding, the good old days. She's actually running from a group called the Intergang Crime Syndicate Militia, which they are currently the invading power controlling Kandak, which is interesting. It's just a crime syndicate, pretty standard stuff. We've seen this in a lot of different DC movies, but also just superhero movies in general often have a crime syndicate. So nothing too special there. But they have hover bikes that use this rare mineral to teleport and stuff. It's kind of interesting. I did quite enjoy the aesthetic of it all. It just wasn't that interesting of a enemy, and we'll get into some other things that I'm like, why did the movie go the way it does? We are introduced to the character Tef Adam, who you can probably tell is Black Adam by the fact his name is Adam, and yet Tef Adam is Dwayne The Rock Johnson, of course, and you may notice Tef Adam is not Hurrit. We'll get into that a bit later, but we have a bunch of cameos thrown at us all at once, and that is basically the entire movie. Past this point, we have the entire backstory of Black Adam, and then Black Adam being freed, which, by the way, I do skip over that a little bit, but the knockoff Lara Croft and her cronies managed to free or summon or whatever Black Adam while trying to find this crown of Sabak. They do find the crown of Sabak. They also find what they assume to be the tomb of Black Adam. It's all pretty standard stuff. They release the superhero of the movie from a dormancy. He runs around a bit. He has to learn a little bit about Earth culture and how things have changed in Kandak, and he's a bit shell-shook. It's the classic Captain America story that we all know and love. But in any case, we then are brought to our eyes, to our eyeballs, Amanda Waller. Again, because she has a hand in every element of this universe that is already dead. Because I'm recording this after they've announced that DCEU is officially done after the next, 3 films? There's Shazam 2, Aquaman 2, and The Flash. And I think after that it's done, this current continuity, which is very interesting to me. But Amanda Waller from Suicide Squad and The Suicide Squad, and I believe also Batman v Superman, and I think also Justice League. She's in everything at this point. So Amanda Waller, of course, is here. And there's mention of a team, which I assumed would be Task Force X, of course. It actually isn't. And that threw me through a curveball, because Amanda Waller isn't creating a team of villains. She's actually calling on a very old team of heroes, that being the Justice Society of America. So if you're not familiar with that team, it's a personal favourite of mine in terms of DC teams. I don't have many favourites when it comes to DC. I do love the Justice Society of America. This specific incarnation is Hawkman, Dr. Fate, Cyclone, and Atom Smasher. Cyclone being the modern version, and Atom Smasher being the technically also modern version, where it's I think it's the nephew of the original Atom Smasher, using the same suit. So it's pretty much modern continuity of the comics. But yeah, I quite like that. Hawkman and Dr. Fate are two of my favourite characters beyond, like, the main ones. Like, I love Green Lantern, I love Batman, I love his tech. But my point is, Hawkman and Dr. Fate, two of my favourite. Hawkgirl, I wish was in this, is also great. And, yeah, it's basically the rest of the film, I'm not going to lie to you, is essentially just the Justice Society of America fighting Black Adam. Until the last, 20 minutes, where the son of Lara Croft is kidnapped by the bad guys, the leader of which turns out to be one of the supposed friends that is supposedly killed when Black Adam is released, one of the people that was friends with Lara Croft, which I'm going to just continue calling that, because I didn't write down her name, and I do not care enough. But, yeah, so Black Adam kind of turns to a good guy, he stops killing people, unless they desperately need to, and eventually agrees that he's too dangerous to be kept alive. We actually find out that the reason why Harut is the real champion, the true champion, and Tef Adam is currently Black Adam, is that Harut was actually Tef's son. So Harut was Harut Adam, presumably, or Adam Harut, or maybe something Harut, I don't know, maybe Tef Harut. But in any case, Harut was Tef's son, and to save Tef from dying, Harut gave Tef the power of Shazam, transferred it directly, and then was instantly assassinated, which sent Black Adam Tef into a rage, which caused him to essentially commit genocide upon, anybody loyal to the evil king, which, I mean, history won't look at it, and they don't look at it as a bad thing, but it is very much, born out of rage, born out of anger, just evil thing to do, because these bad people, and potentially not even bad people, just loyal people, were punished potentially unrightfully. It's hard to say. I personally think Black Adam didn't really do much wrong in that situation, though he was fueled it with rage. So your mileage on that will vary. I thought it was actually quite a good way of taking it. And so Black Adam is taken to a Task Force X base, a black site, so to speak, and is put in suspended animation, along with a ton of other DC rogues. I wasn't able to make any of them out. I'm sure someone has made a video breaking down every single cameo within that vault, but there are hundreds of these stasis pods, and I guarantee there are multiple major DC villains that we can see in those cages. I'm pretty sure, I can't say for certain, but I believe Killer Croc was in one, which is very interesting, and I don't think it was the Suicide Squad version, the version from Suicide Squad. So, yeah, that's very interesting to me, but besides that, very cool that we have seen more of Task Force X in action, even if we're not actually seeing the team itself, seeing what they have facilities, what they have the access to, and, yeah, that is presumed to be the end of the film, until Ishamel, who is the friend of Lara Croft that was presumed dead that turned out to be the leader of the bad guys, becomes the champion of Sabak. He legitimately becomes Shazam, but it's Sabak, and he becomes a demon, and it's glorious, and we basically just watch as this demon summoning the legions of hell gets defeated by Hawkman, Dr. Fate, Cyclone, Atom Smasher, and then a few civilians with, like, pots and pans. It's so stupid. The legions of hell, these, like, skeletons and zombies that raise from the ground, come up from hell, are just so easily defeated. They're just, like, hit once with a baseball bat and just collapse. It's so funny, even though it's not supposed to be. But I really enjoyed that for all the wrong reasons. I thought it was very fun. Fate does end up sacrificing himself, mostly because he foresaw Hawkman sacrificing himself, so he essentially flipped the script, made sure that he was the one who died instead of Hawkman, and yeah, it all kind of works out. We actually see Hawkman use Dr. Fate's helmet, which is very interesting, and yeah, then we find out that Dr. Fate, we actually see it happen live, but obviously the characters find it out, that Dr. Fate actually sacrificed and freed Black Adam, and he's able to become Shazam again, or Black Adam again, and he defeats Sabak, he, frees everyone, he makes, Kandak a free place again, or for the first time ever, potentially, and destroys the evil throne, which is really interesting, because so much of the advertising and, general promotion for this film relates to him sitting on this throne, so it's really interesting that in the actual film, that's not the case. He actually destroys that throne. He sits on it for a short while, and then he's like, it feels wrong, and just destroys it. Which, yeah, it's interesting. And then finally, the thing that everyone was waiting for, including myself, the post-credit, where Amanda Waller sends a drone to Black Adam, tells him she's not going to imprison him outside of Kandak, but she's going to make sure that he cannot leave Kandak. And Black Adam basically says, you have no one to stop me, to which she says, I have Superman, and sends Henry Cavill Superman to talk with Black Adam. And, yeah, that's the end of the film. We have about 5 seconds of Henry Cavill Superman, and honestly, that got me more excited than, like, anything else. I like Henry Cavill Superman. I don't think the films he's been in have been great, but I do quite like him as Superman. That was very fun. So that's the film. I quite enjoyed it, honestly. I actually saw this, Avatar 2, and Black Panther all in one day, and I quite enjoyed Black Adam. I think it might have actually been the best of the three, unfortunately. But even saying that, it's difficult for me to really rate a movie like this, because I don't care enough about it to really give it a definitive rating that, like, matters. But in terms of what I gave it on Letterboxd immediately after seeing it, I gave it 3.5 stars, or 7 out of 10. That is the same as what I gave Avatar 2, which, when I say Avatar 2 looks amazing but is a terrible story, Black Adam looks fine and is fun. And that's all I need for a decent 7 out of 10. And that's what it is. It's a decent 7 out of 10. In terms of just some odd things that I want to just mention, I will say this film feels like a knockoff Wakanda in, like, every way. It's very much a knockoff Black Panther, as in the first Black Panther movie. We literally have vibranium in this movie. It's not called that, but that's essentially what it is. It's the magic mineral that's only found in one place. The Shazam Wonder Woman mythology is expanded further with this. I do quite like that. The expansion of the DCEU was always a fun thing to watch, even if the films weren't that good. So, that was nice. I do think it should have been a Justice Society of America movie rather than being Black Adam, where Black Adam was instead the background, like the villain, that they could then turn good at the end. I don't know. That's how I personally look at it. And I also personally think that we should have just seen a Suicide Squad team, even if they got annihilated instantly. How fun would it be to just get some random, like, Kite Man type villains just thrown in at Black Adam, and Black Adam just annihilates them. So they then send in the Justice Society of America. I would have loved that. It would have made Amanda Waller's, like, involvement a lot more sensible, because she tried Task Force X, and then she was like, okay, I need to send in actual teams. So then she sends in Justice Society of America. I'm really struggling with that, but yeah, that is my end thoughts, really. I like this film. I think it was fun. I'm not going to watch it again, probably, unless I do a full watch-through of Shazam, Black Adam, and Shazam 2. But, yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. And that is all that really matters when it comes to a superhero film at this point, especially one for a franchise, the DCEU, that's going to be dead in a year. So, on that note, that's really everything I have to say about this film. I definitely recommend it if you're a fan of DC movies. It's one of the better ones. It's by no means on the same level as like The Suicide Squad, but it's still very fun. It's, definitely, it's probably like top 6. It might be top 5 potentially, depending on how I'm feeling on that day. But in any case, that's going to be it for this video. So I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to like it, subscribe if you're new here, and ring the bell so you don't miss an upload. Otherwise, it's going to be it from me. And, yeah. Bye.